atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a Kamen rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to a bonus episode of Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and joining me as always, my lovely co-host and editor.
Hello, I am Rex.
So we are here for a very last minute, very much not planned bonus episode. We actually planned this out about 7 hours ago, roughly.
If even that.
If even that, we just were so we're not going to play what's the topic for the day, because I'm too excited to not just be this is what we're doing. So about 24 hours ago, the first 25, if we're being actually specific as of this recording, 25 hours ago, we got the announcement for the announcement of Godzilla Zero?
Minus One.
Whatever you want to call it. At the time, we thought Godzilla Zero.
Yes.
So we are here to do a full breakdown discussion of what we got yesterday. We're going to start off giving some background to what we did know, just so we have that. And then we're going to go back and we're just going to talk about everything yesterday. Now, before we get too far into this, just for anybody who is a Kaiju Conversation YouTube subscriber, there should be, by the time this podcast comes out, there will be a reaction that I recorded that morning of the countdown to the announcement of the announcement and then the actual trailer. I recorded both and edited down. So if you want to watch me and see some funny, whatever I was doing at the time, I was exhausted and tired and happy. I don't really know what happened. But if you just want to see me freak out and be happy, it's a fun 17-minute video. So I would say check that out if you want to. But without the shameless plugs, we're going to go ahead and get into the what we knew section of this lovely, lovely film. So I'm going to pull up here my notes that I had a long time ago. And I'm just going to read through them, and Rex, you can jump in here and say anything that you want to bring up.
Okay.
So the working title was Blockbuster Monster Movie with the rumored title of Godzilla Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, actually, do you want to explain where the Godzilla Zero name came from?
Yeah, so basically back, I want to say, was it March? Somewhere between March to June, during the filming of Blockbuster Monster Movie, a Twitter post came online from someone who claimed to have been on set, stating that the title Godzilla Zero had been seen on, I believe, gift bags given to extras or something. Or it was either that or it was held by crew or something like that. I don't remember the exact details on it.
I feel like I remember hearing about a lamp.
Yeah, there was a lamp that I think was given to the extras. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And the tweet was private on an account that was private that had no followers.
And I think is now deleted.
Yes. I still have a screenshot of an embed of that post that we could translate.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't that our first, so prior to that, there had been murmuring of Toho doing a Godzilla movie, but nothing 100%. We knew Toho was doing something, but we didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
So, following the tweet, there wasn't a whole lot going on. If I remember correctly, I had been hearing rumors from that point and going forward. At G-Fest last year, I was in a meeting where we did talk about it a little bit. That's where we found out it's going to be revealed on Godzilla Day, and well, I found out and all that.
Mhm.
Found out it was directed by Takashi Yamazaki and
we
all
already
that
knew
good
that
jazz.
part.
True, but we didn't know it was a Godzilla movie. I then got
No,
that was where
but we had it was looking pretty likely.
right. That's where I got confirmation. So beyond that, we knew it was a Japanese film that Toho would be distributing in Japan. Toho was co-producing the film with Robot Communications, the Takashi Yamazaki production company.
Mhm.
We found out the release date was November 3rd, 2023, on Godzilla Day last year. This is on Godzilla Day for 2023. So this is the second Godzilla movie to be released on this date, which is quite fitting for the
70th anniversary film.
right, which it's released on the 69th, but Toho gave Legendary and Warner Brothers the 70th anniversary year.
Yeah,
And we'll see how that ends up.
Big mistake.
Because, yeah. Adam Wingard's an awful director. There's the bingo board going. As we mentioned, Takashi Yamazaki was the director, but he's also serving as a producer, the writer, the person who did the screenplay, and the visual effects director. This isn't really shocking. Yamazaki is kind of a jack of all trades. He usually does a lot of work on his films. He
Right.
is a 3-time Academy Award-winning director for Best Director in a Japanese Film and Best Screenwriter, if I remember correctly, on another film. So Yamazaki is a very critically acclaimed director. On top of he has done anime, he has done anime adaptations, he has done Godzilla stuff. He's done
Yeah.
Ultraman stuff. His FX company, which is also working on this film, Shirogumi, worked on Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider. His company, Shirogumi's, worked on a ton of films. So around this time, we also had a kind of a synopsis. We could gather all the info. It was a Godzilla film that takes place in post-World War II Japan. There will be military fighting Godzilla, and citizens will be running away in terror. Like that's what we knew.
Yeah.
We knew that the time frame was between 1945 and 1947, and that the movie was filmed in Kanto, Japan. Principal photography started in March of 2022 and ended in June of 2022, and the film in the winter time around Godzilla Day was in post-production, and according to me and what I read, it was in post-production until January of 2023. You say that was just when they were hiring, but I feel like June to January would be like where that post would be.
Even if you're right on that, I was reading somewhere that the original post that the January date came from, that had gotten updated to state February before being delisted now.
So, okay. And that makes sense because a little later on, and I'm talking about like last month, we did get confirmation that the production for Godzilla Zero at the time, as we knew it, was running behind, and they were scrambling to get the advertising going. They were struggling to get that going because they were behind.
Right.
Prior to this, the only things we had gotten was Takashi Yamazaki posted on his Twitter account a behind-the-scenes image of some blue screen and cranes talking about how big the production was, but he didn't tell us it was Godzilla Zero. He just said, I'm working on a big-budget movie.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But this would take place around the time Godzilla Zero was filming. And then on Godzilla Day, we got the infamous G with the white background, with the 2023 11/3 date, and the G being very much a stylized G, of what could be Godzilla. Following this, Takashi Yamazaki on his Twitter account would eventually change his profile picture to an inverted G, white G, black background, with a little dash on the right.
Yeah.
Of which we didn't know what that was in reference to. We were very confused by that.
Hmm.
And I feel like nobody really acknowledged it after its like quick change. Like I'm pretty sure everybody just kind of dropped it.
Hey,
At least it
I
felt that
mentioned
way.
it.
You mentioned it. So that was all we knew until about 31 days ago when Toho started an account for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just Untitled Godzilla movie releasing 11/3/23.
Yep.
Nothing new, same G, same banner, everything. But they were doing a countdown. A countdown that started on number 29 with Shin Godzilla, omitting all the legendary films and the anime trilogy, and omitting the TriStar 98 film, and doing a countdown every day, posting the synopses, the monsters that appeared in it, the poster, and a link to the trailer for each Godzilla movie. They would do this, but the way it was set up, it would not end on 1, but it would end on 0. And this is where we quite literally count down to where we were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So people had figured out the exact time that the account posted all of its posts. And so everybody knew what time in their time zone we would be receiving the reveal. Which this countdown was exciting for me. It also made me realize that time went by really, really fast.
Yeah. It felt like maybe 4 days had passed and we went from damn Shin Godzilla to 54.
It did. It really did. And I was kind of surprised by that. During this time, there wasn't really any announcements. We were expecting something at that time, right? Like there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I feel like everybody knew there would be at least a poster and a title reveal. And everybody was, by that point, I feel like I helped kind of egg this on. By that point, everybody was calling it Godzilla Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take a little credit because I told G-Man, and G-Man started calling it that, and it kind of gradually snowballed. Granted, there was people calling it that already, but I'd like to think
Especially
that I helped snowball that. Yes. So that's where we were until yesterday. Yesterday, we all waited. We waited. Some of us stayed up all night. Some of us was just anxiously waiting. And I remember, like all of us were excited. We were like, "Oh, the anticipation." Yes. And so we were waiting. We ended up, you and I, Rex, we got on a call in the last 10 minutes. And we were there. We were waiting. There was also a Japanese news YouTube live stream where somebody was going over all the posts and hyping up the presentation of whatever would be coming. And I think at one point he had over 800 people on his stream. It was kind of like, wow, this is like more than I'm used to when it comes to this, kaiju stuff. So yeah, the excitement was there. The buildup was there.
Right.
And this is where we got the video. So on time, a video was posted. And Rex is going to explain to you what that video was because he was late to it. I got it first, and I was freaking out.
So, said video was a countdown from 29 to 1 of all the various Godzilla movie posters from Shin to 54. And then it hit 0 for a few seconds. You've got dramatic music, and then footsteps. And then it goes negative 0.1, negative 0.2, gets up to negative 0.9, and then just the G logo with a 54 roar at the end.
And then we get some text, which I was like, Rex, translate this. What does it say?
Yep. I put up the Google Translate and found out it said 4 a.m. the next day. Which was 8 hours away from when this announcement had occurred.
Yeah. So I was super excited, and then I think I realized that
We'd been debated.
Yeah. So this video, do you think that's our first look at the music for the film? I was wondering that.
Maybe? I don't know. It very well could be, but I don't know. I don't know if it's stock music or if it is like the music for the film. Maybe.
It was very grandiose. It was big. So I wouldn't be surprised if it would end up being music for the film, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's too hard to say.
But yeah, I remember I was like super excited, and then damn.
I was like, huh?
And this was the worst thing. So I stayed up all night, right? I had work that day. I stayed up all night like we would on a podcast. Did that, we got off the phone. I called somebody, talked to them for about 20 minutes. They're like, you need to go to bed. You sound exhausted. And then I did, and I woke up. And I woke up to quite literally the moment I woke up, I checked my phone, and something was posted the moment I looked at my phone. So I woke up about noon for me. I think it was. Or no, it was 11. It was 11. So I slept for about 5 hours, woke up somehow on time to get the reveal. Which was a poster. And the poster said, it had the G, and then photoshopped in it was a design much similar to the Godzilla the Ride,
which was done by Yamazaki. Yes.
And then below that, in the top right there was some Japanese text, and then below that was 2 words, -1, in very much a Shin Godzilla like written text font. And then below that was December 1st, and below that was Toho. This film is not yet rated, and I think that was it.
Right.
And so before we go into much, let's talk about this title. So here on out, we are going to refer to Godzilla Zero as Godzilla Minus One, because now, like in the timeline we're giving you, now we know it as Godzilla Minus One.
Yes.
So Godzilla Minus One. That is a very Japanese title. Much more Japanese than Godzilla Zero. Godzilla Zero is definitely a very Western title. I've heard some people bring up how if this film takes place in the late summer, early fall of 1945, and brings up ground zero of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, Godzilla being -1 to ground zero makes that meaning even darker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from what I understand, that's kind of the whole idea that Japan is at essentially its lowest point, rock bottom, I think was what it was either the producer or Yamazaki himself said. And so the -1 title is essentially that things are going lower than rock bottom with the arrival of Godzilla.
And so that made the title even more interesting. In Japanese, it's actually styled as a minus sign and then one, but in the English design, it's Godzilla and in the words -1.
Right.
So already, now when this came out, I was like, that could just be like simply fan art. -1 was a name I heard thrown out during the countdown. Some people were like, it ends at -0.9. Maybe it's Godzilla -1.
Right.
And
I've said -1. Kind of confused. Like, is that like going to be the title or what? Huh? Because I wasn't expecting it to go into the negatives at all.
Yeah, that was a really weird left field curveball. And I wonder if that's because Godzilla Zero got leaked out, like that title. So
Maybe.
because of that, they changed it. But they must have done that a while ago because Yamazaki's Twitter icon was the logo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the Japanese logo. That dash is actually a minus symbol.
Yeah.
So the thing about it was this was before the 8th hour hit. This was an hour before. So it was at 1. It was at 1 p.m. that this all came out.
Hmm.
And everybody was like, this is not the right time. Like, why? Is it true that it's Godzilla Minus One? Why is the design slightly different? A lot of people thought it was the Godzilla the Ride design. Our good friend Connor Baxter of Invader Design told me, though, however, he was like, I've looked at both. I looked at the model, and they are different. The spines are different. The eyes are different. The face is a little different. This is not this new artwork.
Right.
This is, like, original. And so that was weird. And what was even weirder was the release date. December 1st, 2023. Which didn't make sense because the film was slated for November 3rd, 2023.
Hmm.
So that was really weird. Like, did it get delayed? What was up? So I kept getting, like, different reports. I had somebody who everybody thinks is, like, leading news telling people it's not real and then going back and telling them actually it is. We had people who were like, no, this is real. Actually, it's not real. Like, nobody knew. Everybody was confused. And what had happened was Forbes accidentally scheduled it at the wrong time zone to release. And so it came out an hour early. And that article gave us the whole breakdown of what was going on. Though a bit not accurate, but to go through it. A little mistranslation. So what happened was, this is what Forbes reported. Godzilla would be would be released in America. The Godzilla Minus One, which is where the poster was also revealed and the title, would be released in America in December. It would be released December 1st in the United States with a theatrical release. Then this is where we got the synopses stating, set in post-war Japan, Godzilla Minus One will again show us a Godzilla that is terrifying and overwhelming force, which you already get a sense of from the teaser trailer and poster. So this article also revealed we were getting a poster this day.
Mm-hmm.
Or not a poster, a trailer. We would be getting a trailer as well. This was what Koji Yuta, president of Toho International, said. And then he brought up, going on, the concept is that Japan, which had already been devastated by the war, faces a new threat with Godzilla bringing the country into the minus. Which makes it really interesting. Like, this is Japan quite literally at their lowest, and you know, that's something we haven't seen before. That's a very interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
But going on, this article then said that this film would be sharing direct continuity with Shin Godzilla, which everybody was confused by. This statement alone is what basically questioned the validity, thank you, of this article. Because everybody was like, Anno's not involved, Higuchi's not involved, it doesn't make sense from what we know. Like, what is this? So, after some thought, I was like, well, maybe it's like Higuchi saying that if you want a sequel to Shin Godzilla, you need to go watch Shin Ultraman. Like, it's just the metaphorical sequel. It's what followed.
A successor.
Which is what it was actually meaning. Later on, it would be amended and there would be an edit saying that it was corrected. But for a while, that's what people thought, which made people really confused. Following on from this, the article then talks about how popular Godzilla is, which this is where it got really interesting. we got confirmation that Godzilla is worth more than the following IPs: Ghostbusters, Care Bears, Planet of the Apes, Friends, Terminator, Indiana Jones, G.I. Joe, and Minecraft. Which I was honestly shocked by. That reveal, so Toho is worth about $3 billion. I've looked it up before. Toho's worth about $3 billion as a company.
Mm-hmm.
But to finally hear a number to put to Godzilla is really interesting. And that's the low bar number. The low bar number is about, I think they said
4.5 to 5 billion.
And
plus over 2 billion in sales of toys and tie-ins to the legendary MonsterVerse franchise.
To the legendary, that's not even including the Japanese market. So to hear that Godzilla's worth over $7 billion, that's more than what Disney bought Marvel for.
Right.
Which is a big deal. That's like remarkable. Of course, Marvel's worth more now, but
right.
It's the thought that Marvel in the late 2000s was worth less than Godzilla is. Like Marvel as an entirety, like Marvel, the whole company, was worth less than Godzilla now, is really shocking. That was, I never expected that. I never expected that. So already, like, this article had brought up so many questions and so many, like, things. Like, it was like, this is like the biggest drop of the century. So following that statement, they brought up how this is a part of Toho's new initiative to promote the Godzilla license worldwide and breathe fresh life into a global icon that has terrorized Tokyo since the mid-1950s. So this is where I want to kind of talk about what has happened recently. So we did do a little mini-sode that we recorded talking about the recent announcement of the Toho International market change. We've talked about how Chris Mowry got fired and how that made it really weird to think how Toho International would be functioning with Godzilla, right? That was really weird.
Right.
Especially with the loss of like half the staff. And then we got reports that they actually tripled their staff. And then we got the reveal of the new GM, who in a Variety report revealed that they were planning on revamping the Godzilla.com website. They were planning on bringing the Godzilla store to the international market. They were planning on marketing Godzilla and anime as big components from Toho internationally. And there was no roof for the budget for this. It could go over $100 million and Toho would be fine as long as results came.
Right.
So, okay, I kind of want to talk about that here. We're going to kind of take a break from Godzilla Minus One and talk about this. So, I brought up in the now scrapped recording how if Godzilla.com wanted to be something relevant, they should revamp it like Ultraman Connections. Mm-hmm. You know, news, vlogs, bringing like all of that stuff, like making it available to like see everything. Mm-hmm. Your one-stop shop for all Ultraman content. We need that for Godzilla.
Yeah.
And today you found out that Godzilla.com got revamped. I believe it got revamped the day they announced this.
Yeah, that seems to be what's happened.
So they announced Godzilla Store US, and they also revamped the entire website. The entire website's brand new.
The only things that have been carried over are the news articles they've had and the Monsterpedia entries that they had. That's essentially all the carryover that's there. But even for the Monsterpedia, like all the images for that and the actual ordering of like the monsters in the Monsterpedia has been completely redone.
Right. The whole website's been redone. Like, it doesn't even function the same.
Right.
The biggest thing I noticed was on the film. So they cut out the television section, which, you know, kind of hit there. I'm kind of disappointed they cut that out. But for the movie section, they added a little thing where you could see where to stream it. It's not a big thing, but now you have access to see where to stream all the movies.
Right. Which I think was something we suggested.
We did suggest that. In that video, we were like, they should label where you can watch it. And they did that. They listened to us, even though they never heard that. But it's really convenient because it makes it easier for people to be able to watch all the Godzilla films.
Right.
They even included where to watch the Netflix anime trilogy and all 4 American movies. Which is quite honestly remarkable. Like, that's great. And then now there's a new section called Shop.
Yes.
It's still under construction, but they do hope to have it up and running by late summer, so probably August.
Right.
So to that, I think of a few things. One, now they're going to be able to market like the Funimation Godzilla Blu-ray, the Criterion box set, the Criterion Godzilla DVD and Blu-ray for $54, and all the stuff that's available, whether it's Playmates or Super 7 or like all of that's available now to put on the
Godzilla
shop.
store stuff that's coming over, it seems, as well.
And that's the best thing is now Toho is going direct to consumer.
Right.
So that means prices are going to be cheaper, shipping's going to be easier, purchasing them is going to be easier, and Toho's going to make more money. And they also announced in the article that there would be exclusives to the Godzilla International store, which is really exciting. And they opened up a Godzilla Store US Twitter account. So they're going to push that as its own thing.
Oh, I haven't actually seen that account.
Yeah, so they announced that. They revealed that. And so now you have Godzilla Official and Godzilla Store US. So on the North American side, now they're pushing 2 concepts for promoting Godzilla as an IP.
Right.
Which is great. This is absolutely amazing. And the fact that they're promoting Godzilla and anime, like they're looping all of their anime as one, and they're singling out Godzilla as an IP, shows that Toho International is going to put a ton of effort into that Godzilla IP.
And shows us the importance of that IP as well.
Which is what I'm going to come back to now with Godzilla Minus One. There is something that is very wrong with this announcement. The US poster does not credit a distributor outside of Toho. No distributor, whether it be Crunchyroll or Netflix or Warner Brothers or Universal or Sony or Criterion or Janus Films, has taken credit for distributing, or Fathom for distributing this film.
Right.
The only company to take credit for that is Toho. Regal Cinemas and AMC Theaters both posted the trailer and said that it was coming to theaters December 1st. Now, here's what's weird about that. Rex, do you know what day December 1st falls on?
No. Is this a historical date?
It falls on a Friday, which, at least in America, Friday is the day that the big headline movies come out.
Oh.
That's not for, like, limited release films. That's not for small movies that have very small theatrical windows. Friday night is for the big films. Your Oppenheimers, your Barbies, your Marvel movies. That's the day those come out.
In my
That's
country,
why Fathom
we get them on
events.
Thursdays.
Well, we do have some like exclusive showings on Thursdays, but most of the time it's like Friday's the big day. But like Fathom events and whatnot, those end up on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Maybe a Sunday. They're never really out for long, and they're always on the
Shin
odd
Kamen Rider
days.
was a Tuesday.
Tuesday sounds right. Godzilla Minus One is coming out on a Friday with competition, and cinemas are marketing it like they would any other American film, and Toho is taking full credit.
Right.
So by what we're given, the context clues and what we're given, Toho has somehow found a way to finance their own distribution in the United States, which has never been done before. So looking beyond the fact that we have Godzilla Minus One, this is the largest shift in the company's history on a global scale, because this means Toho is handling their films firsthand on foreign markets. So that means that Toho International, for the first time since 2004, is directly working on these films to get them out, which has never been done before. And that means that Godzilla Minus One has to be one of the biggest pictures Toho has ever done. I would quite literally think it's on par with films such as Seven Samurai and Godzilla 54. Because here's the thing. Takashi Yamazaki is a big name to have. Multi-award winning, big blockbuster director, big name. Very big name.
Right.
The film, so we're not going to talk about the trailer yet, but the CGI and the way that movie looks does not look like Shin Godzilla on a small budget.
No.
It does not look like a low budget indie film. It looks like a big budget movie. It was marketed as a blockbuster movie. Toho is making this the first film they are internationally distributing. This film has to be huge. It has to make the money as well. If this movie bombs, Toho's in a bad spot. This is like Final Wars level problem. But I'm willing to wonder and suggest that Godzilla Minus One will go down in history as the biggest budgeted Japanese Godzilla movie.
I mean, so far, I think it's looking that way very much.
And the film it has to beat is Godzilla Final Wars. That is still holding the record for biggest budgeted Godzilla movie.
Right.
From Japan. So this is not only exciting for the Godzilla Zero announcements, but this is exciting for what we have in store for us. Not only are we going to be able to get firsthand Godzilla Minus One action figures from the Godzilla store, we're going to be able to see this film December 1st, less than a month after it released in Japan.
Which is
insane. It's insane. That's never been done before. This is the shortest window for a Godzilla movie in the States.
This is like genuinely one of the shortest windows for like just Japanese to international distribution wide at that.
Exactly.
Like 1 month, not even 1 month. That is downright that's a number that to me is outright unfathomable. But it's real. It
is. And that makes me wonder, are we going to get just subtitles or are we going to get a dub? I don't know yet.
Maybe, but maybe not. We'll see.
The fact of the matter is when Toho did this press release, they also did an English press release, an English poster, and an English subtitled trailer. They had already translated everything and put it out. So no matter what, we're at least going to get a subtitled release of the film.
It seems possible that Forbes was the one that translated for the article.
For that one, yes. But they would later go on and post their own official ones. So this feels like honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Toho would put this for Academy Awards in the States. I feel like that's how big they're going with this. this.
God damn.
I genuinely wouldn't be shocked if they try to put it up for your consideration for best cinematography, best VFX, and depending on the subject material of the film, which it's Yamazaki, so it could be pretty heavy, maybe they could try for best picture. I don't think it would win best picture, but then again, the Academy's been eating up foreign films lately.
Yeah, but they don't like monster movies.
This is true. This is true. But if you ask Bong Joon-ho, Parasite is still a Parasite. Parasite's still a monster movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not in the traditional sense.
Right. But I wouldn't be shocked if Toho tries to push this. Like, you can't tell me the fact that they're distributing it themselves. They've subtitled it themselves. They've marketed the film themselves. They are releasing it within a month of, like, there are so many first times with this. And the fact that Toho is also going to make it so the international market has access to merchandise for this film.
Right.
I don't see how this could not do extraordinarily well.
It's a real test of whether the audience interest is there for Godzilla.
It is. That. It very well is.
So is there anything else you'd like to bring up before we get to the main event?
I was actually going to go ahead and go there because I feel like we've covered pretty much everything we can up until this point.
Great.
So, I mean, we've talked about the Forbes article, which was a back and forth for that hour until it was finally confirmed by like Jeff Gomez of Starlight Entertainment and KDM and whatnot that it was official, it was real, everything was accurate.
I mean, Jeff Gomez himself is referenced in the article, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, at the point of the time it was to be released, it was at 2:00. I was supposed to be at work at 2:00. I said, I'll pass. I will go to work after I watch the trailer and like call my friends and like have my happy moment. So that's what I did. I was going to record my reaction, but I was getting ready for work and I realized I had a minute and I didn't have a shirt on. So I grabbed the dirty shirt that I had just taken off and threw it back on just to turn my camera on and do the recording. Mm-hmm. And then like, I'm like updating my feed and all of a sudden it appears. So I try to watch it. Twitter's an awful social media now. And like the video like was changed to a whole nother video. And I watched it. I was excited, but I was like, I can't really see what's going on. I've got notifications blowing up. I can't see everything. I was like, wait a minute. Let me check on my TV if it's on YouTube yet. And so I go to my TV, I go to YouTube, and there, Godzilla official, Godzilla Minus One official teaser trailer. So I'm like, oh, it's there. So I go and I watch it. And I'm just flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted by the visuals I see. And I end up rewatching it like 3 times. I like watch it twice on my TV, and then I watch it once or twice on my phone, and then I like join in our Discord's like celebration. And from there, I called Michael and Nathan, friends of the podcast. They do the Power Trip podcast. I called them and we talked about it. And then like I was on the phone with them up until I had to walk into work 30 minutes late. And one of my coworkers was like, why are you in such a happy mood? And I said, well, the Godzilla trailer for the new movie came out and I'm loving it. And she said, so I'm just going to, when people ask why you were late, I'm just going to tell them that it was because of Godzilla. And I said, you're damn right it was. And she said, wait, really? And I said, yeah, I have my priorities straight. I was going to watch that and enjoy that before coming to work. I'm proud to say that. And I don't care what anybody else thinks.
I mean, I think it's a fair response.
Thank you. So, Rex, do you want to share how you first saw the trailer?
I mean,
or like catch up here, like when you saw the poster and the title and the news leak and all that.
Well, so there's not really too much of a story to tell. I was going to stay up for like the time of the reveal, and I was going pretty strong, but then I even had my pre-workout just to keep me awake with the caffeine boost. But then somehow I just died and fell asleep. Anyways, which was very sad. And then I woke up in the morning and I'm like, it's the day. So I just quickly I'm highly anticipating, but I'm like, no, I'll hold off for a few minutes so I can eat breakfast.
Because Rex, you don't have your priorities straight.
No, I understand. Look, if I watched it then, I would not have eaten breakfast for the next hour or two.
I would have done that. I didn't go to work for 30 minutes. I was like, they can wait. It doesn't matter that I have a job to do.
It was building up that anticipation, man. But
I couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't.
And then I'm like, what? So what's come out? What's come out? Is it a poster? Is it a trailer? Is it cast announcements? What is it? And I go on and I see there's a teaser trailer, and I'm like, oh. And I watched it, and I saw the poster, and I saw everything.
I saw everything. So Rex, if you want to. Yeah, I mean, I was too. If you want to, Rex, I would like to do a little breakdown of the trailer. I don't know if you have rewatched it enough to have notes. I have. So if you would like to, I'm just going to pull it up here and we can just start it.
Oh yeah,
and pause it.
I mean, I've got the feel free. I've got the trailer basically on loop at the moment, so.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and press play, and then I'm going to tell you when I'm pausing. So for anybody, if you want to follow us, you can. If not, just enjoy us talking about the trailer, because I feel like we're going to describe everything pretty in detail from this first 34 seconds. Mm-hmm. So we start off. I'm going to go ahead and pause it 2 seconds in.
2 seconds in? All right. 2
seconds in. So right off the bat, we get footsteps. And these aren't stock footsteps. These are new footsteps.
Right.
Which is very nice to hear. I'm a little tired of all the stock sounds.
Yeah. It'd be nice to hear new sound design.
Yeah, I agree. So far, everything's looking pretty all right. Mm-hmm. We do get some Japanese text, and if you watch the English version, you get the subtitles. It says post-war.
Japan had lost everything.
Yeah. So it establishes the loss of pride as well in this. Right. So not only did Japan lose the war, but they lost their pride and they had nothing. Their country was in shambles. They were even being morphed as a culture to be more westernized. Mm-hmm. They were establishing new political climates. They were establishing a whole new lifestyle. Which is something I think this film will cover, is what the American occupation was doing at the time and how country pride was at an all-time low.
Yeah.
You can't...
I'm actually very curious how America will play into the film.
I am too, if they will actually show, American soldiers that, fought and were a part of the occupation,
right?
If they had people play them or not. I think this also adds to the atomic bombs. The fear of the atomic bomb is very present in this film.
Yeah.
It has to be. It was so recent that I feel like there's no way that that couldn't be something very relevant.
If it's not going to be relevant, then why even bother setting it?
Exactly. And the fact that Godzilla's radioactive, I think, is going to add this level of political friction and political tension, because radiation is a very hot topic at the time. Radiation burns, radiation scars, radiation like cancer, poison, and quarantine, all very relevant at the time. And Godzilla being a walking radioactive being is going to cause issues. So that's just going to bring back the nuclear fear, something that America would have during the Red Scare and in the Cold War, during America and Russia's attempt to build the most nuclear weapons. That's how Japan was at this time. The fear of nuclear weapons. So this is a very interesting establishment for this film's setting. And that's all I can say about the footstep and the line. That's a lot. I already know. Rex, do you have anything you want to add, or do you want to hit play and keep going until I say stop again?
I say we hit play again, baby.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and play. So stop again at 4 seconds.
Yep.
So I love this. This is a reference to Godzilla 1954. So this next shot is an aerial shot of a devastation in this city. This is a shot of the Wako department store Hattori clock tower, which was featured in Godzilla 1954 as the clock tower that rings that Godzilla destroys. And if you look around, there's footsteps in the rubble. So Godzilla destroys this again. And I love that. And this scene already establishes how Yamazaki's doing this film. It's very dirty. It's very grungy.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the 2012 Godzilla trailer. But
yeah, that's actually exactly what I was thinking of when I saw this. This
and
is
the camera motions as well
from that 2012 trailer, which is great because I've been wanting a Godzilla movie in that sort of style for ages.
Right. And we should also establish that it's a reference to 54 as well, with the footsteps. The idea of footsteps.
The footsteps leading to what will be a title and then a roar.
Right. Very much in the style of most Godzilla movies. So, but the one thing this has that the 2012 trailer didn't is look at how the film is designed with its color. It's a very colorful but dull movie already.
Yeah.
And this shot with the tower, I'm seeing some reds, I'm seeing some blues, some browns, some greens, some gray. There's a lot of color here.
Right. And this is for a destruction aftermath sequence. So for all intents and purposes, what's the rest of the film going to look like? We get a little bit of a tease later on for that, but yeah.
And Yamazaki, this is very clearly Yamazaki. His style is written all over this.
Yes.
And this is his style. I recently watched, if you listen to the most recent episode of the podcast, I talked about how I watched Parasite Part 1 and Part 2. So in the second Parasite movie, there's the end fight takes place in this furnace where they store radioactive material, which was really cool that, they use radiation. And it was really you would think, okay, a furnace, so it's going to be red and brown and black, right? But there was blue, there was green. It was grungy, but colorful.
Right.
And that's the Yamazaki style. And that is what we're seeing even in this first shot.
I mean, also just the fact that, it's set in that, 1940s period. Yamazaki has this sort of, I guess, nostalgia for the Showa era of Japan, which is prevalent through a lot of his films. Take the Always Sunset trilogy, for example, with those films being set across, that trilogy being set across 1958 to, I believe, 64 is when the third film takes place.
Well, so in the interviews for that, Rex, you showed this to me. Somebody asked him about why he included Godzilla, and he said that Godzilla is a staple of the Showa era. Like, you
Right.
can't. The issue with a lot of modern Godzilla is you take him out of the Showa era, and when you do that, you lose a part of him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do that, and that shows here. This feels undoubtedly Godzilla. And I'm going to elaborate on that after we go through this breakdown, because I have a lot to say.
Right. But yeah, no, 100%, like, the look of this, even though he's going for something completely different in the Always Sunset on 3rd Street, which is the only Yamazaki film I've seen so far, it's still, I can tell it's the same director.
Right. And it looks like this is probably all computer generated.
Yeah, this looks,
and it looks
computer
great.
generated, but it looks great, yeah.
It looks great. It looks almost dreamlike.
Yeah.
Like, this is something you would fantasize about, which is funny because Yamazaki in an interview recently said that his dreams were coming true working on Godzilla the Ride and Shin Ultraman the Ride.
Right.
So to think that, like, these were his dreams and this almost feels like dreamlike, like it looks almost real, but you know it's not because it's CGI.
Mm-hmm.
It just adds this level of this fantastic element that I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're ready, I'm ready to move on until I say pause again.
Yep. Feel free.
So hitting play in 3, 2, 1. So after this shot, we get, okay, pause again. We're at 8 seconds. Okay, so this is where we get some text, and it says VFX written and directed by Takashi Yamazaki. You know, they got to promote producing. He is also producing. They have to promote that. But I have a theory about this shot. I don't see a single footstep. I don't see a single tail thing. All I see is rubble and a hole.
Right.
I think that this is Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
I mean, it could also just be like a war zone in general as well.
Right, but on Japanese soil, there wasn't any, if I remember correctly. The only time that on Japanese soil there was a war zone was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And look at the hole in the middle of this scene. Like, if you play the scene forward,
is definitely the most
big.
Notable thing in the image.
So I'm wondering if the story behind this is the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings is what woke Godzilla up. Which would cause more friction with America because America has brought on yet another
disaster for Japan.
Yes.
The third bomb, if you will.
Exactly. Which, from what I've heard, there was actually plans of a third bomb to be dropped on Tokyo.
Right.
So if Godzilla's attacking Tokyo...
I mean, wasn't it that America was going to keep dropping bombs? They threatened that they would keep dropping bombs until Japan...
Until Japan would surrender, and the next plan was to drop it on Tokyo, Japan.
Right.
They specifically picked Hiroshima and Nagasaki first because those were lower populated, but they would go for the heart, essentially, next.
Yeah.
So if Godzilla attacks Japan, specifically in Tokyo, wouldn't that basically mean that he is the third bomb?
Yeah.
Which makes, like, that adds a whole nother layer to this. And if they are like going to ground zero and Godzilla is -1, like that just like that makes this all the more dark and all the more like metaphorical and like a Cheryl Honda, like so well thought and so well done. We should just rename this episode to every reason why Takashi Yamazaki
right
should
with Godzilla -1.
But no, this like the potential here is so amazing. if you're ready, I'm ready to move on. We still have about 26 seconds left, and I feel like I've already spent 15 minutes talking about 8 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and hit play in 3, 2, 1. So pause again.
Yep.
We're at 11 seconds. So this scene is a bunch of protesters in a devastated city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is in relation to Godzilla or if it's
it could. I'm not sure. It looks like the building on the right could maybe be similar. It looks similar in structure to like the 54 building. But at the same time, I'm also thinking that maybe I kind of get like Hiroshima vibes from it, just with the scale of the destruction here.
I agree. That's kind of what I was thinking.
And also,
too.
it looks like there are people like in like what's the word for it? Like gear,
hazmat suits.
Yeah,
almost.
Not hazmat suits, but like in that sort of type.
Yes, like very, very like old style.
Protective.
Like, yes. So, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this shot, it looks like this shot's mostly practical, and then the background is where the CGI is. Yeah, I think the background
is where the CGI is, yeah.
But it almost looks like a matte painting. Like the way the haze is over the background looks very like Showa-esque.
Right.
Which I'm in love with this. And I'm wondering why they're protesting. I'm wondering if they're not allowed to go back to their homes because of the contamination, so they're protesting against that because they don't understand what radiation is. I wonder if this is like, why can't the government do better? You know, like there's so much this could be.
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to go ahead and hit play again in 3, 2, 1. So then we get I'm not pausing yet, but we get from 0 to minus. Okay, we're pausing. Pausing at 17 seconds because this is where it's about to get chaotic. So we get from 0 to minus, which is, Godzilla appears and Japan plunges farther into despair. And I'm wondering if that also means they will include the whole Gamma Guardian of the Universe problem of the stock market crashing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only is Japan already in ruins, but Godzilla's appearance is quite literally going to just send them into a Great Depression.
Right.
And from here, the trailer speeds up to like 120 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So about halfway through, quite literally halfway through is where it speeds up. So far, we've had some long, like lingering shots, specifically crane shots. And now we're cutting to more down-to-earth, grounded sequences. The first one here is Godzilla tail-whacking a bunch of citizens, which is like... I don't remember seeing a scene where Godzilla's like quite literally just killing people in front of us.
I mean,
beyond the originals.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that Toho, at least to American, the American films, that's like a big kind of a no-no at the moment for them. So, and like, as you said, it's really only shown in anywhere near as much detail in like 54, really. There's like bits of it in like a couple other films like 84 and I guess Shin, but not this up close and not to this scale where it's just like a whole crowd of people are caught up in this this swipe.
Yeah.
And the debris that's coming from it. Because his tail is crashing through a building or multiple buildings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is our first shot of seeing Godzilla in action.
Right.
Which, I mean, there's not really a lot here.
No,
but I'm already going to tell you, Godzilla's going to be moving pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Not slow like 54. I'm thinking more like your typical Showa Godzilla he'll be moving.
Oh, yeah. He looks to have a fair bit of speed in this film.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for him to be faster than, say, like some of the other recent Godzillas, like Shin especially, since from the looks of this and a later shot, he would appear to be closer in height to 54.
I'm going to bring that up when we get to the feet shot.
Right.
I was going to bring that up. If you're ready to, I'm ready to move on to the next scene.
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop again, because this scene is really cool. So we get a shot of a train car flying in the air and crashing on other tracks while I'm guessing another train's going forward.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that the context for the scene is there's a train on the tracks, and then the car flies, and then it crashes, and there's death and destruction. But one thing I appreciate about this shot is everything's blurry but the train.
Right.
It feels very dreamlike. It feels
And
very
it looks awesome.
It looks awesome, and again, the colors. So the still I'm on, I'm seeing red, I'm seeing brown, I'm seeing yellow, I'm seeing green, blue, white. Like, there's so many colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of looks miniature-esque.
Yeah.
Like, this film definitely is styling itself to kind of look like they're miniatures, but also not.
Yeah.
And this is once again a trope of the franchise already. Godzilla's going to be messing with some trains. We've seen this in 2000. We saw this in Shin. We saw this in 84. And most prolifically in 54
and
with the infamous...
even the Yamazaki's Godzilla the Ride...
Even the Yamazaki's Godzilla the Ride, one of the many
in
the
one
train
of the
rider
most well-known promotional images for it features
So
Godzilla
this is
in
like
the train
there's gonna be. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of visual callbacks, but we're also going to see a lot of new stuff.
Be seeing a fair few visual callbacks, so.
Right, but what I really appreciate, like, specifically about this scene is we've never seen Godzilla, like, throw these cars like this. Like, this is horrifying. Like, this gave me anxiety when I watched it for the first time, seeing this train flying and hitting the tracks. Like, I don't know how mean this Godzilla is going to be, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to be a really mean Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, like, that last shot... We are seeing crowds getting killed on a scale we don't typically see in this franchise.
This is going to be the Godzilla that the Futurians warned us about. So if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and we're going to continue to the next shot. So 3, 2, 1, cut. So there's a really cool shot here. Yeah, so it's only on in the trailer for half a second, but it's a really cool shot of some Japanese men on a rooftop as it's caving in.
Right.
Kind of Tremors-esque, little Tremors-esque.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, I've never seen this before. We've seen Godzilla, like, with Katagiri, like, hit the building and it collapsed, but we've never seen a building literally breaking apart on itself and Japanese men having to, like,
Finally, a Godzilla movie where they're not always safe on the buildings.
I suddenly felt like we were talking about 2014's tsunami sequence. But no, I love that. It's a small shot. It's not a lot, but it's just really cool to see. And then following that, we just have, people running in terror, your typical Godzilla trope. But it's so cool to be, like, on ground zero, like, watching these people, like, in fear and see the detail.
I wonder if anyone here is going to be, like an actual main character. I mean, obviously the extras, most of the people we see here are extras. But I'm curious if in this on-the-ground, like, running shot, I wonder if any of them are going to be, like, main characters.
And that's something we still don't know. We don't have a cast. We don't have a human story. Like, we have no idea.
We have a couple rumored cast members, but, like, we don't know for certain yet.
So I'm really curious what the human story of this is, because there's got to be a driven human story.
Right.
So I'm really curious.
He's done some award-winning work. So I'm very interested in seeing what he does with this script, because he can write good characters based solely on like having watched the first Always Sunset film. He's a good writer.
See, and that's why I'm so interested to see that. We don't know the story. We just know the setting. Like, in all the synopses, all we know is the setting.
Right.
And the political climate of the time. With added context clues.
Right.
So, we still don't know what the main plot of this movie is going to be.
No. And that's what makes it interesting.
Right. That's the mystery to this film. And we know, after this, like, trailer, we still don't know what the... We have hardly any context. Quite literally. We have none. There is none. So if you're ready to go, I'm on 19 seconds right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and then I'm going to stop it again on this next scene.
Right.
So 3, 2, 1, play. Cut. Or stop. Sorry, I got into my filmmaker mood. Okay. Godzilla's easily going to be 50 meters tall, maybe 55.
Yeah.
So in this shot, we have a bunch of citizens running in terror as Godzilla's trampling them. Like, you don't think Godzilla's not stepping on people.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a tweet calling back to the sequence in Godzilla 54 where you had that, except this is on like an even bigger scale. Like, it's so horrifying. And we are like up close and personal. And I think it's so cool. And that's what's so interesting is we are up front and personal with the disaster happening.
Yeah.
We're not watching from afar. We are like on ground zero.
Right.
With this. Now, one thing I do want to take note of is in this sequence, we get a good shot of Godzilla's feet, of which they're very like elephant-like or like 2014-esque.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's got about, from what we can see like three main toes, and then like maybe like, you know how like T-Rexes have
the back toe?
Yeah, like the little one on like the back of the foot. It looks like we might have that, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Kind of like that, yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, and this is a detail I love about this sequence. If you play it out, so I'm going to play it out up until 20 seconds, which at this point, all the sound effects is like destruction and screaming. So it's getting chaotic. But the final shot, the final few frames of that sequence, I'm currently sitting at 20 frames, or 20 seconds, Rex, by the way.
Yeah.
The whole ground, like in Terror of Mechagodzilla, when Mechagodzilla shot his finger missiles, the whole ground exploded, which was a cool little detail that you never saw in the franchise after that or before that.
Right.
But here, Godzilla's footstep, like the whole ground just like pops up. Like his weight is just destroying the earth around him. That is such a cool detail. Like, this movie is full of detail and thought. And I was talking to Jack about this, and I said this film feels like Yamazaki has creative intelligence. And that's the key. You can be creative and you can be smart, but if you can bring both together and have creative intelligence to create something unique and smart, you have the recipe for a masterpiece. And honestly, I'm going to be honest here. I think Yamazaki might have that here.
Oh, he's cooking. He is cooking.
Like, I'm honestly surprised by how detailed and smart and full of thought this movie is. It just blows me away. That's really all I have to say here.
Right.
We could keep going on. The next shot, I'm already on it kind of, is just people running.
Yeah.
Chaos, Godzilla tropes. If you're ready at 20 seconds, I'm going to hit play in 3, 2, 1. We have more people. We have a little girl, which is a really cool shot of like, I paused at 22 seconds, by the way.
Yeah.
We have a girl that's without her parents. Kind of like how, I forget the character's name in GMK, but
like
his flashbacks.
Which one? Is it the one at the center or
the dad? The dad who is
yeah.
He has a flashback to 50s Japan where Godzilla's destroying the city and he's without his parents. It's kind of like that.
Right.
Which is it's just cool. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, but
I mean,
it's just really cool to see.
I wonder if Yamazaki's going to go there and kill the little girl.
Maybe
that'd be interesting because like outside of 54, have we seen any kids die in the franchise since? I don't recall it.
I mean, the teenagers in Terror of Mechagodzilla probably died when Titanosaurus definitely stepped on them. But that's it. That's really all I can think of.
Right.
Unless you want to count the fact that in Final Wars, quite literally everybody in the human race dies.
But like the film doesn't really dwell on that fact.
Right, and the kid clearly somehow survived with all of his Godzilla toys.
Yeah.
So, at the 22-second mark, we get the G again. But we also... So, I'm curious about this. In the bottom left, we get this film is not yet rated, which is the U.S. rating. So, it's going to be rated in the U.S., which further confirms, like, full release. And then on the right, is that a G for general audiences in Japan? Is that a Japanese rating already?
Yes, it is. It's the A-Win rating, yeah.
So, does that mean... To my understanding, that means the film's done.
Huh.
They've got a rating. The film's got to be done.
There. Huh. I didn't think about that, but you may have. Yeah, I think you have a point there.
So the film's done. It's got to be done. It's got a rating for G, which does confirm it's not going to be graphic.
No.
I think the film's going to be thematically dark.
Right. I mean, as much as I'm sure Toho gives Yamazaki a lot more free reign with Godzilla and other Japanese creators a lot more free reign than they would American creators, I'm sure they're going to have their limits. I don't doubt that.
And from here, I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Right. We hear
because it is Godzilla
Minus
One. So I'm going to hit pause at 25 seconds. So we get the title reveal, Godzilla Minus One. And then from here, well, actually, I'm stopped at 26 seconds. So from here, the iconic 54 roar starts playing, but it's bass boosted.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is not like the final roar or like the roar they're using. I'd love to hear that, but I also
I wouldn't be against hearing it maybe once or twice in the film.
But we need original roars again.
Yeah,
I'm tired of stock roars.
Yeah.
I am sick and tired of stock roars for every Godzilla movie.
I'm fine if the roar they go with is a modified version of a classic roar, but it needs to be more than just adding bass to the roars like they've been doing here and in this teaser and in the anime trilogy.
Right.
I mean, it sounds better here than it does in the anime trilogy, so there's that at least.
This is true. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and we're going to run through the last 8 seconds of this.
Right.
And then we're just going to talk about this last shot and then start to wrap up here.
The real kicker shot.
So 3, 2, 1. So, okay. The trailer's done. So the final shot is our money shot of Godzilla's face chomping down on what I'm going to guess is a train.
Yes, you can see the train at
you can hear it.
Frames, yes.
Which, really cool. This just goes to show that this is a very violent Godzilla.
Hmm. I mean, just the
Um,
way how he's just bending down and just straight up just chomping down on it. Like even in 54 and 84, he didn't just chomp down on the train. If I remember right, he doesn't even really pick it up in 54. He only like steps in front of it really, and like in 84, that's when he actually like grabs the carriage.
well, he does get one in his mouth to throw it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only one. But I think it was after the train wrecked into him.
Okay, right.
But in this,
yeah.
in this one, and may I just say, Godzilla's mouth is very wide.
Yeah, I was about to say. God damn.
And it almost, so I'm at 27 seconds, and it almost looks like there's a scar on his eye.
Yeah, I was about to point that out. It looks like there's the skin around his eyebrow and like his cheek-ish area is noticeably like lighter, so it looks like he's, I guess, maybe been in like a fight with the military already by this point or something.
Maybe. So, what do you think of this design, Rex?
So, from what we can tell, it based on this and the poster we've seen, this is pretty damn close to the Godzilla the Ride design with maybe some minor adjustments. I imagine it's a new model. Like, I doubt there's some people saying, oh, it's lazy of them to just reuse the Ride model. I doubt they're reusing the actual model from that. I think it's
because of how detailed it is.
Yeah. So, my opinion on the Ride Godzilla design, a lot of people like it. I have never been the biggest fan of it. I like the general look of it. It's just my main issue with it is I think that some of the proportions, specifically the dorsal plates, are a bit big for me. But in saying that, maybe it's just the bias of it being, an official Godzilla film design. Maybe it's that bias, but I'm starting to I've noticed I'm warming up a lot more to that design today than I have over the course of the rest of like the past year or two.
Yeah, see, I like this design. My only gripe with the Ride design was the shoulder spikes and the weird end on the tail. That was the only gripes I had. And going in, I always knew that this design was going to be like his Always Sunset design and his Ride design.
Oh yeah, there was no doubt about that.
And I feel like the people who are complaining just They didn't understand that this is the same guy who wrote, directed, and produced and did the effects for all those other movies.
Right.
Like, he's clearly gonna take
his dream. It's his dream Godzilla. It's what
quite literally it is.
Like I'm sure they probably did a little bit of experimentation like for the film, but I'd imagine he was just settled on the design that they came up with for the Ride. That's what I think's probably going down.
Which is okay. Like, Toho has used Godzilla designs in the past. It's not lazy.
Right.
Like, I mean, Toho even like reused suits from completely different movies.
Right, yeah.
So like I don't understand why people would complain. Well, I do. People just want to complain.
Yeah.
But I like this design so far, and I didn't notice the little scar until after the fact, but that's actually a really cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, with that, we've spent the last, 40 minutes talking about this teaser trailer and breaking it down, I think.
God, it's been 40 minutes already?
It might have been. I don't know. I've been too busy looking at the trailer.
I'm scared.
I love this design. I think this looks really cool.
I love Godzilla.
And so this is where I'm going to maybe go down a little rabbit hole. So just kind of bear with me.
Okay.
So when Shin Godzilla came out, I could clearly tell it wasn't the Godzilla I remember. right? It was a modern idea. It was a modern take on the character.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so far removed that it just didn't work with me. And the legendary films are missing something undoubtedly Godzilla, which I think is that Japanese, thought process, that creative impulse.
Mm-hmm.
The anime stuff was anime. That's not the medium I'm used to Godzilla being in.
I mean, it's also just the fact that those films are going for something very different just in general.
Right. Whereas, for the first time since I watched the classic Godzilla films, I feel like I'm seeing my Godzilla again.
Mm.
And that is why I feel so excited, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's impressive that we're able to get that from like a CGI Godzilla.
A CGI Godzilla. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Like, that's the thing that, like, it's CGI. It's not even men in suit. It's not practical.
Mm-hmm.
But Yamazaki, maybe he's right. To be perfectly honest, maybe Yamazaki's right. There is something about Godzilla that is undoubtedly Showa, and when you take him out of that element, you lose that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Yamazaki is like the smartest person to ever touch the Godzilla franchise and understands what the Showa era is. But it was like seeing an old friend, seeing this trailer. And that's a funny comparison, I know. But like, even though Godzilla's the villain here, I'm excited to see him, and I might root for him. In the original 54, there was people who who reportedly were sad that Godzilla died at the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Henry G. Saperstein seemed to believe so.
And, this movie feels like this is what we've been needing. It may not be the film everybody wants. Like, this is definitely going to be a solo Godzilla movie where he's the villain.
Right.
But I think it's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
We need this reboot. We need this restart. We need this refreshing breath of air.
Mm-hmm. I mean, frankly, coming off like the last like almost how many years? Like 7 years or something? 6 years since Shin Godzilla. Like, most of what we've gotten from basically everything we've gotten from Toho has been just radically different to the franchise roots.
They all are very godlike, however.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's partly, like, this Godzilla doesn't feel godlike.
No.
And maybe that's what it is in the past Godzilla movies, that godlike idea was there. He is Godzilla.
But it was taken to the logical and literal extreme in some of the more recent entries.
Yes. And so maybe that's what Yamazaki's done differently, is Yamazaki's treating Godzilla as a god in the sense of presentation and not logistically or literally.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why it feels like this is the Godzilla I remember growing up with.
Mm.
I don't usually get too excited for movies. I try not to.
Right.
But there's something about this that just feels right. And I don't think I can properly articulate that thought yet. But there's something about this that just is right.
Mm.
Like, this is the way. And I feel like I might have a top 5 Godzilla movie coming soon.
Ooh. High praise already.
I don't know. There's something about it that just feels right to me.
Hmm.
I feel good about this.
Oh yeah, this undoubtedly this is really, really promising.
And honestly, they don't need to show me any more footage. Like, if I go in not knowing anything else, I'm fine.
All else I want to know is the cast. That's all else I want to know.
I would like to know the cast, but like, even if they didn't reveal the characters or their like backstory, like
I
I'm fine.
don't care if they tell us anything about the characters. I don't even care if they tell us their names. I just want to know who's in it. That's like all I'm left to wanting to know. Who's in it?
Mm-hmm. And I would love it if the MPAA, when they rate the film, rate it as PG or PG-13 for traditional Godzilla violence.
Well, from the looks of things, it might be a little bit more than traditional Godzilla violence, maybe.
This is true. Godzilla's on the loose and he's out for you. I'm excited. This is the first time in a long time I've been legitimately excited for a Godzilla movie. It's undoubtedly Yamazaki. It feels like the 2012 Godzilla trailer, which is a masterpiece, way better than the film.
Yeah.
It feels like the Showa era, but also with modern effects. Like if they want to talk about a film to bridge the gap between, Showa fans and CGI, like modern day blockbuster fans, this might be the movie. This might be the movie. And I'm happy Toho picked Yamazaki for this.
Mm.
And I'm happy that this is at the time where Toho is restructuring themselves to give this film all the praise and acknowledgement and distribution that it deserves. And honestly, with that, I've been happy and excited since I saw it. There was not a customer, a person, an issue that could bring down my happiness yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm still writing on that.
Oh man, I've been writing on this happiness all day.
This is what I've been needing. And it's just in time for G-Fest. So I'm going to go to G-Fest with this new thing that everybody's going to jointly love.
Mm.
And it's going to be celebrated.
Oh, no doubt.
I am officially on the train for Godzilla Minus One hype.
And I'm right there with you, pal.
And we're going to cover the film as soon as we can.
Yes.
And with that, I feel like that hopeful ending should lead us into where people can find us and support us.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rex, why don't you go ahead and let the people who are listening to this know where they can find you at?
Alrighty. Well, dear listeners, you can find me on YouTube at Rexino, on Twitter at Rex_Xenomorph, and on Instagram, Rex_Xeno. And if you want to check out some of my writing, go take a look at the Tokusatsu Network.
And as for me, I am Elijah. You can find me on Twitter at ET13Productions, on Instagram at ET13Productions, or on YouTube at ET13Productions. Since this episode's coming out right before G-Fest, or as it happens, definitely watch my YouTube channel in August for my short film, SOS Seek Shelter. That is a competitive piece for G-Fest this year. I put in a lot of time, effort, and money into the short film, and I'm excited for people to see it. I've worked very hard on it, and I think people are going to like it. So if you want to check out that short film, it is kaiju related. Look for my feeds in August, first week of August. But as for the podcast, don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. If you don't have an Apple device, which I don't blame you, I don't actually, that's very much a lie. I'm using a MacBook right now to do this podcast. You can rate us on Spotify, however. We've got 5 reviews so far at 5 stars, so thank you guys so much for rating us. I would love it if you guys keep giving us the support. We were review bombed on iTunes, so we're sitting at a 3.1. I think we're a little better than that. I mean, we're getting this episode's turnaround for recording is going to be pretty quick. So,
man.
Yeah, we're on the grind, and it's only going to be that way for a lot longer.
We're insane.
So please, if you can, give us a 5-star rating, leave us a review on iTunes. If you would like to stay up to date with all things Kaiju Conversation related, follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook. If you're like me before podcasting and you don't have any social media, lucky you, you can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews on air for everyone to hear. We also have a Teespring store. Eventually, we'll have original artwork on there, but until then, you can sport our awesome logo on a t-shirt or maybe even a coffee mug. If you'd like to chat with us, check out our Discord server full of others that have similar interests to you. We celebrated Godzilla Minus One all day yesterday. We had people in the call. We had people in the text chats, staying up all night, hanging out together, getting excited for this, and just talking it all up. It's a great community full of great people. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. By the time this is out, there's going to be a reaction video of me waiting for Godzilla Minus One. So definitely check out that. There's some funny moments in that and some maybe wholesome moments. We sometimes post exclusives to the channel like bloopers for episodes or minisodes talking about news or other subjects. We also have an interview with Mechagodzilla designer Jared Kirchevsky on the channel. I definitely butchered his name. I'm so sorry. And a huge thanks to Rex for editing all of these episodes, especially this one because he's going to have to turn it around really fast so we still stay relevant. So thank you, Rex. He edits these episodes and all of the content we upload besides the reaction video. That was me. His links can be found in the description below. Check out his Linktree and give him support. Follow him, read his content, and give him the support and love he deserves. Along with Rex, we'd love to give a huge thanks and shout out to Danny DeManna of the Godzilla Novelization Project for his amazing vocals on our theme song. You can support him by following him on Twitter at danzilla93_GNP or visit his website, GodzillaNovelizationProject.com. And a huge thanks to Gratton Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS for composing the music for our theme song. You can support him by following the podcast on Twitter at Giant Monster BS or on any podcast platform under the name Giant Monster BS. And with that, we're going to wrap up this bonus episode covering the brand new Godzilla Minus One news. Thank you guys so much for listening and enduring through us ranting and raving about the upcoming Takashi Yamazaki masterpiece. So thank you guys again, and as always, please remember, life's too short to not talk big. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby. Kaiju, not too big now, baby. Conversation. His name's Elijah, baby. And also Rex now, baby. We love those kaiju, baby. And you will too now.